where they play to the end. And the game has just been elevated. Ladies and gentlemen, on the live line, we have Jaime Andrade, state representative, and, John Tillman. He is the CEO of the Illinois Policy Institute. I like to call him the shadow governor. He disputes that. But, in the Game of Thrones, he would be considered the hand of the king. But, Charles, they had a little spat go on yesterday that has escalated to the charges of racism. Can you bring up a breakdown?
Well, there's this cartoon that appeared in a publication done by the Illinois Policy Institute that depicted was based on the funding crisis right now in Illinois schools. And of course, the Chicago Public Schools is saying it needs more money to help make its pension payments and other payments to keep running. I mean, the Chicago Public Schools, as you know, are in just horrific fiscal conditions. So the cartoon that appeared in an Illinois Policy Institute publication showed a young black child.
We can say black on this thing.
For some reason, he's wearing a Cubs cap. I don't know what that's about. But anyway, a young black child, and he's basically sitting on the corner and he's begging. And there is what appears to be a white, overweight businessman, and his pockets are stuffed with dollars that are TIF dollars, that are depicted as TIF dollars, that while this kid is begging, this businessman is essentially saying no more money for you, but he's got his pockets stuffed with TIF dollars. As you know, TIF dollars are taken away from schools. That money is
Didn't we see a big story about this lately?
Special taxing districts, and therefore that money does not get to the public schools. So that the cartoonist obviously is saying the kids are starving because the big business guys are using these TIF dollars for other purposes and not for schools. But the allegation was made on the floor of the House yesterday by State Representative Jaime Andrade, who's a North Side rep.
That's my boy, too.
A Latino. He goes way back with you, Mays. And he alleged that although he is Latino, he alleged that this child was depicted in a racist way. Now,
wait.
Well, but he was also speaking because another state rep, Christian Mitchell, who is from the South Side.
First person in the Lions Den.
Who was first person since we started doing this program. And Christian said that the kid was depicted as a Sambo. And I think our audience understands what a Sambo, the depiction of a Sambo is, dealing with this white businessman. And so Andrade says it was a racist depiction on the House floor. And of course, we will hear from CEO John Tillman, who of course is the guy who runs the Illinois Policy.
So I just need a level set for the WVON listening audience. What we have is a white man being charged with racism by a Latino state rep over the usage of a black kid. So there's no black people involved in this. Oh, Christian Mitchell said it was a Sambo.
But he isn't on the show this week.
So let's talk to Representative Andrade. Welcome to the WVON Morning Show. Introduce yourself and then tell us why you think this is racist.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning. All right.
Good morning.
Yes, I felt that it wasn't necessary to use a black kid in that situation. I believe they just like this was a policy debate. I actually agree with Illinois Policy Institute that TIFs are who need to be reformed. I just didn't think this was a way to debate it. Especially at first thought, I thought it was, I think the day before they just had a Twitter battle with Illinois Policy Institute and with another state rep, him and Christian Mitchell. And so I thought they were actually probably, that C did not stand for Cubs, that C actually probably standing for Christian Mitchell.
Oh.
That was my initial belief. That's my personal, and that's why. And Christian wasn't there yesterday, and since he's my seatmate from before, I just, I would have deferred to him to talk on the House floor, but he wasn't there. So I just didn't think it was necessary. And one of the things that upset me more was too that their response to Christian Mitchell when he brought it up, they actually said, "It's you don't think white businessmen are taking money? Why? What's the purpose of saying the white businessmen? But there's not black businessmen. There's not Latino businessmen.
Not really at the state of Illinois, though. We do less than 1% of the business. Jamie, I'm gonna stop. Jaime, I'm gonna stop you right there. John, I'm gonna give you the opportunity to tell us your interpretation of the cartoon and your spin on it.
Well, I think, first of all, thanks for having me on, and I appreciate the opportunity to talk about this because I think it's a critically important issue. To correct the record, the C stands for the Cubs. There are African-American and Latino fans of both teams, and that had nothing to do with Christian Mitchell, just so you can clear the air on that. And the reason that it's a white businessman is because what TIFs do, TIFs siphon money out of Chicago public schools, 85% of whom are African-American students. And that's why the depiction has an African-American child, because overwhelmingly Chicago public schools are African-American, 85%. If we had used a Latino or a white child, that would have not been properly representing the student body of Chicago public schools who are being cheated by these TIFs. And the TIFs largely go to very wealthy, no, not all of them, but largely go to very wealthy developers and others who are building buildings in the Loop and around the city. And that money is being siphoned off away from kids. And that, the more important part about all this is that's the issue I think that we could all agree on. I mean, we agree with, for God's sakes, Karen Lewis has been one of our biggest opponents in these policy debates, but we actually have agreement that these TIFs are abusing the CPS system and the money they get. The reason we took the cartoon down is because we have respect for the representatives and their point of view on this, and we would never, obviously, intentionally do a cartoon that anybody would find offensive, and we feel terrible about that. But we think that part of the problem we have, and Mays and Charles, you and I talked about this last time I was on the show, is, people are trying to engage, and we've had a long record of engaging on criminal justice reform, education reform, and other issues that involve the children of color, whether they're Latino or African American. And the key part of all of this is we have to engage people from all sides, black, white, brown, everybody, in order to try to solve these problems.
John, let me stop you there.
Let me just finish by saying we took the cartoon out of respect for that discussion.
Okay. Jaime, please respond.
Here, like I said, I agree with them that the TIFs have to be reformed. That's why I'm even considering that introducing legislation that if there's any future TIFs or if there's renewals, that the education portion should never be included as they did in the transit TIF that was passed. I still believe that it should be, this is not the way to discuss the policy debate with a African American kid there.
Jaime, can I ask a question? Can I just ask a question real quick? Jaime, why are you the person that is defending this or has taken this up? Where is the rest of the Black Caucus as it relates to this issue?
I just think my button was pressed first. That's all that happened.
Yeah.
My button was first to speak, and Christian Mitchell, I consider him a very close friend. It was my seatmate, and it was just my button was the first one pressed, but other brought it up.
I know that Representative Mitchell is not here to defend his characterization of this image as a Sambo. But I actually looked, I know what I think a Sambo is, but I looked at Sambo, I Googled Sambo and then called up some of the images. This didn't look like what I would consider a Sambo. I mean, it just wasn't there. Do you know what a Sambo is? I'm speaking to Representative Andrade.
You know what? Go ahead.
Go ahead, Mace.
No, you finish, Andrade, but we got to go to break after you answer.
Okay. No, I apologize, but I did not know until I saw Christian Mitchell use the word.
All right.
That was my first.
Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, you are listening to Talk Chicago. We are talking to State Representative Jaime Andrade and John Tillman. Both the charges of racism over this cartoon, we're going to have it posted on the WVON website. Go check it out. Let us know your thoughts. Racist or truth? We'll be back after traffic and weather.
More of the morning show with Mace Jackson.
What's that?
Takes our children.
Well, see, this is my thing. This goes back to the point of whenever somebody wants to make their point, or they use black people as the answer or as the shield. Yes. So I get that you cool with Christian, and Christian, I like Christian, right? But don't start throwing racism around, right? And if you're gonna throw racism around, don't speak for us. Cause that picture to me is really not offensive. Have you all seen it?
It's real.
It's not. I mean, this is like a.
It's mild.
This kid is a. I said, if I was to do this, what would you have said if they had done a bucket boy with dreadlocks?
That's how it should
I
have
was just
looked.
assuming it was a socks cap.
A socks cap?
The man.
Like that wasn't Sambo. Look up Sambo and see what they did to us over
Sambo
these
looks
last
like a
150.
monkey.
Monkey, white lips, big eyes.
Here it is, right here, guys.
Come on, man.
It's on Facebook right now.
Nonsense, man. That's nonsense. You know, I mean,
Now I'm gonna
The
say.
dictionary definition of Sambo. Have you seen that?
No.
Dictionary definition
Don't
of
you read
Sambo
it.
is two of them. A black person, and then the second one is a person of black or Indian mixed genealogy or something like that. That's what the definition
So
is.
there may
With
have been-
European. That's what.
So this though to me, if you changed your profile pic for Charlie Hebdo in France, if you defended France and them making fun of turbans and calling Allah whatever they said, but now you white and offended about this, you can kick rocks to me.
It's a little
That's just real talk. Real talk. Like I'd be damned if I was changing my profile pic. Now, this to me, I mean, but I'm gonna tell the solution to this is like I said before, get a black cartoonist. If I would have had a black cartoonist draw this, then guess what? You can't say jack. Right? I mean, I could solve this, but here's the thing. It is offensive to me that we have seen how black folks have been disenfranchised at the state of Illinois level, and no one has called it racist. No one has called it. So now we're going to call a cartoon racist as we are being economically excluded from the state of Illinois. And we got to, so now black people get it. They called you a racist. Negroes, go! Because they look for us to have emotion. This shit is, excuse me, but this is truth. This is truth. White, we just read the story of this in the Sun-Times. Now, if you, and the people that get these TIF money, guess who represents them? The speaker, because they need a property tax reduction after they do it. Look, don't try to whip us up over a cartoon if you ain't gonna speak on what's going on at the state.
Yeah, I'll go right there, man. I'll go right there. Because, you know, didn't anybody stand up on the floor, a black person or Latino or white, and complain about the fact that a $13 billion Medicaid,
not one black company
not
was
one
awarded.
person came up and said anything that a black company did not get any of that money.
Was awarded.
That's what you need to stand up and talk about, not about some cartoon.
All right, but woo!
I say that on the radio, man.
We come from the same place. That ain't gangster. That ain't hood. That ain't street. That ain't good. It used to be picture perfect. Now I can't aim to take snapshots at your frame. Which one of us is to blame when the
You are tuned in to the Talk Chicago 1690 AM. I am your host, Maze Jackson. Got my main man, Charles Thomas, in the building. Dr. Bonsil Griffin in the building, as well as Ruthie Moore. Now, Charles, in the 8 o'clock hour, stay tuned, because, hey, man, we giving away some tickets to the Black Harvest Film Festival, as well as we'll have Congresswoman Robin Kelly. But right now...
But let me say something.
You on fire.
I'm on fire right
now. Go
ahead. Remember that it was Reverend Dr. Forrest, We Shall Overcome Claypool, that started talking about racism and how schools are funded in Illinois. Then the mayor earlier this week talked about children of color being the ones who were being hurt by this funding crisis. So Illinois Policy Institute did not start the discussion about racism here. Then I want to just point out that last week, a $13 billion annually, $13 billion, expenditure would be
procurement.
For procurement there were 6 companies named to receive a $13 billion Medicaid procurement during the next fiscal year. Not one of those companies is black owned, even though as many as 2 black owned companies applied to be part of that. Where were the lawmakers standing on the floor complaining about that kind of racism?
Hold it, because the live lines are lit up. Check this out. State Representative Christian Mitchell heard the conversation, sent him a quick text. Now he's on the live line. He's only got 6 minutes, so let's let him respond as well. State Representative Mitchell, are you there?
Hey, I'm here. How are you guys doing?
Good morning.
This morning.
Good morning,
Hey,
Christian. Talk to us. Have you? Go ahead.
Go ahead, babe.
Well, Christian, you are state representative, and Jaime Andrade, who is also your seatmate, stepped up yesterday to defend you because of charges of racism over this cartoon. Why is it racist, in your opinion?
So first, let me say, one, always great to be on the show.
Thank you.
Second, Charles, I hear your point about sort of structural racism, and I totally agree. I've been fighting on this for a while. But here's my thing with the Illinois Policy Institute. So it's not just this cartoon. I'm looking at literally right now a picture of 13 other cartoons the Illinois Policy Institute has drawn over the years. All of them feature African Americans with exaggerated features, oversized lips, big noses, all those other sorts of things. And so my point to Mr. Tillman and IPI was, hey, look, you got a point about TIFs. You want to make it. Your point ignores the fact that we're talking about, affecting EAB and not levy, so it's not really as big a wealth thing as you think. But you could do that with a building. You could do that with a white kid. You could do it with a kid who was African American but not drawn with exaggerated features. Instead, you chose to draw an exaggerated Sambo cartoon in the same week that we saw this gigantic mess in Charlottesville. And you are who your record says you are. And who the Illinois Policy Institute is a group that has sued the block same-day voter registration, that has no front-facing diversity, whose entire, roster looks like a Trump family photo, and who is right now trying to take $500 million out of the mouths of black children in Chicago. You can't be those people and draw racist cartoons and then claim to say that you represent the entire state. That's all I'm saying. That was my only point. The representation itself was drawn in a way that historically we have seen used to exaggerate features of African Americans to indicate racial inferiority. And it's a problem. That's all I was saying.
John, can you respond to that?
Well, certainly. First of all, Charles just got done noting that he didn't see anything untoward in the drawing. And the whole point about multiple African Americans in our cartoons is certainly true, because African Americans are a key part of the entire discussion of public policy, whether it's African American leaders or people of color who live in the city or around the state. So, of course, we have cartoons. And if you pull them all out and put them in isolation, you can twist that into some sort of story. But I could just as easily pull out the dozens and dozens and dozens of cartoons with white people with the type of cartoon drawings that this cartoonist does, which is an accentuated characteristic type of drawing that's no different than any other editorial cartoonist. If you look at editorial cartoonists or your Sunday comic strip, this is perfectly reasonable and consistent. And to turn that and twist that into some sort of charge of racism is a bit offensive, to be frank with you, because we worked very hard at this issue. We've been working, as you well know, Representative Mitchell, we've been working very hard on the issue of criminal justice reform for a very long time, outside the spotlight, sincerely and enthusiastically on this. In terms of advocating for $500 million to be taken away from the city of Chicago, no. Remember, there's more African Americans who live outside of the city of Chicago than live in the city of Chicago. There's more Latinos who live outside of the city of Chicago that live in the city of Chicago. What we are trying to do is create equity and fairness in funding for all people, and especially those who are in struggling school districts or poor school districts.
John,
let me respond.
But John, we got to correct something that you said earlier. You said that 85% of the students in the Chicago public schools are African American. That's not the case. I mean, I think you misspoke. Actually, 85% are black and Latino, as opposed to.
Thank you for correcting me. I didn't mean to say that, so I did not realize that.
So look, I'm sorry, but I got to jump in here. And John, honestly, until yesterday, we had sort of disagreements
but a relationship I consider to be respectful. What you said about editorial cartoons simply isn't true. Look, what I'm saying is you're saying it could be said of any other cartoon. That's simply not true. And your cartoonist in particular has a history of these types of drawings, including drawing a very offensive picture involving Black Panthers. So you got to know who's on your team, number one. Number two, on criminal justice reform, John, with all due respect, you're going to get a cookie for doing what you're supposed to do. Look, South Carolina, Mississippi, Texas, they're all leading on criminal justice reform. They're leading because Republicans recognize it's failed, one, and it's too much money, number two. That's not really a place of leadership, right? What I'm talking about is in terms of voting rights, voter suppression, the fact that around the country we are seeing efforts to reduce the voting power of African Americans. And in this state, the leader on that is the Only Policy Institute. And so when you are those folks, when you are talking about equity around the state, knowing that in 3 years you're going to cost majority minority student districts tons and tons of money based on your per pupil hold harmless, while saying up front we're giving you a sugar rush, is deceptive and wrong, number one. And number two, that's the way you...
Hold it, stop. Hey, guys, okay. Guys, hold it. Let me stop here. I have a quick question, though, real quick. First of all...
I can't let that stand.
Well, John, I'll give you an opportunity to talk back to that after we come back. Hold it, guys.
Down with no votes yesterday in Springfield.
All right. Okay, so, guys, hold on. So, very quickly, we all have a copy of the cartoon here. The other two people don't have any horse in the race. Dr. Griffin, do you find the cartoon to be racist?
Actually, I don't. I'm looking at the little African-American boy. The features aren't exaggerated. We do have thick noses and lips. I'm also looking at the overstuffed white guy whose lips are very thin. I mean, it's not... I'm looking at a Sambo right now on Google. Sambos are really, really black with bright white eyes, big red lips, eating watermelon and things like that. I don't see it.
Ruthie, you looked at the picture. Did it look racist to you?
It is not racist to me.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, Christian Mitchell, I know you got to go. If you want to come back after the break, we'd love to have you. We are talking to State Representative Jaime Andrade, John Tillman, and State Representative Christian Mitchell. Cartoon, is it racist or true? We'll be back after news, traffic, and weather.
Live from the
Okay, so I'm going to cancel Robin then.
It's not.
Why? Because you know.
It's not racist. There's a huge difference. Now, he probably said that to get to his point.
I thought she was at 8.
Something different.
I was
When
saying
you look
that.
at-
And I corrected you on the screen
this is a
like 3
Sambo.
times you said it. Yeah.
Oh, I did
His
not
lips
see
are
that.
thin.
Do you want to bring her in? Okay.
Sick guy.
She's got
He's a sheriff.
Equally offensive, quote unquote, right?
I mean, I would say, you know,
And usually
this is kind of
satirical,
interesting and hot and stuff.
I ain't being
Cartooning is meant to bring a point to
If
get
she
you
wants
to
to come
the
out
same
tomorrow,
wall.
she
When
can do
you
that.
look at
I
this
will
money, you
see.
see
You
the
got
$10.
you.
I'm
Okay.
thinking,
Yeah, okay.
why is this black kid begging him for money? And I put into this. Because I have commercial properties. I put into this in my community and it's coming away from him. Why is he begging for money that should be already going to him? So, no, you look at the white guy. This is a Sambo. This is Sambo. This is Sambo.
I thought it would have.
This is
See, that's what I would have thought.
This is
I would have
Sambo.
thought it would have been a face
This-
that's
or even
black
like this.
with big white.
Like a
right.
monkey. Or the Jay-Z video. The
Right.
Jay-Z video is nothing but Sambo.
Exactly. That shows the Sambo.
That's Sambo.
That's Sambo.
That is not a Sambo. And look at the white guy. The white guy got thin lips. They have thin lips.
I mean, when I see white guys in cartoons, they have like the nose, right? Like, and when I learned to draw black people as a
big
kid,
fat bald white guy with pocket stuff.
I used to. This is how I
think
learned
he
how
was
to
trying
draw
get
black
us
noses.
Another agenda through with that, calling it like.
This is how I learned how to draw black noses, right? This is how I learned how to draw.
An arrow, just an arrow.
Oh, I
You
got
have to just do an arrow going to the side.
Oh God. I'm just telling you.
I definitely think he's just trying to capitalize off of some of the unrest that's going on.
Yeah, but that is
But
not.
I think that to then tie in the Charlottesville piece of it with everything that's going on in Charlottesville, we can't have this. Like, I just feel like, man. All right, did y'all think?
Need money for
Well, on this date in history, in
So what did y'all think? That's exactly my answer. Hire a damn black. John, we can stop all this. If you hire a black cartoonist, everybody gets it. Hire a black cartoonist, nobody says that. Now, if they would have drew, what's my man off of, if they would have drew Huey, what if they would have put Huey there? Right? From Boondocks.
Everybody be like, yeah.
He was like, and he said, give me my, what's his little brother's name? What was his Riley? Riley be like, give me my money, right?
Right?
Then we'll be mad, right?
And he got cornrows.
Ooh, God.
So everybody, for all your dental needs, Stop by Ivory Dental Specialist
Oh,
today.
here, well, you're not on.
Oh, I'm not. Somebody who needs dentistry, fillings, cleanings, root canals, dentures, yeah, May's included.
All
Come
of
see us today
I need it
at
all.
1040 East 47th Street, Ivory Dental Specialist, 773-358-4350.
Guys, I'm sorry. We overshot Robin Kelly. She not make it because this
She not gonna
conversation. Hey, because this was she was supposed to be at 7:30.
Oh man,
I didn't know
thought
she
it
was.
7:30. I thought it is 7:30.
Right, but
It
we
should
ain't
be at
stopping this
7:30.
conversation.
Huh?
We not stopping this conversation. No, this ain't stopping. To talk about Walgreens? Hold on. We can get that back. We need to get to the bottom of this. Woo, they watching. There's a watching in Springfield.
What are some like other like populations and things that these $10 affect?
I'm just think about the fact that they took $55 million out of the South. Think about the fact that they just took $55 million from the South Loop to fix up blight, and gave it to from the third ward and gave it to build that DePaul, the black kid with the Cubs hat on. I mean, I gotta ask my Charlie Hebdo question. Did any of y'all change y'all profile pictures for Charlie Hebdo in France? Were any of you all outraged at what happened in France? When the Muslims blew up, when they blew up and we said we was gonna stand up for free speech and we was all crying in the middle of the street. But now we supposed to be calling this, cause the cartoon ain't racist. The damn what's happening is racist. Right? You arguing about the cartoon but not the cash.
But they took it down, though. They took it down. That's a problem. That is problematic to me.
Why?
That they took it down because, I mean, I think it's kind of infringing on free speech a little bit because to me, there's nothing wrong with this cartoon. It is the truth.
But that is the fear of being called a racist. This is part of what he talked about when he was like, we can't really get nowhere. The second we do something, and if it is wrong, you call us a racist instead of saying, hey man, this could be offensive. But when you call stuff that's not racist, then you get everybody all jammed up and they don't know where to go. Discussion tomorrow. Oh, also Charles, we are not. Robin Kelly had to reschedule because we could not stop this conversation.
We can't stop it. In fact, I think that didn't John Tillman want to make some point before we?
John, we're gonna let you address it, and then Jaime, we're gonna come to you, and then we'll go to the live lines. Black Chicago, go look at this picture. It is on the WVON Facebook page. Is it racist? Is this cartoon racist? John, go ahead. Please respond to Christian Mitchell.
Well, there's several things. Yeah, there's a lot to unpack there. Very quickly, I'm not expecting a cookie for doing work we should do. That's why we do the work we do, and I stand by that record. Secondly, in terms of the entire idea of the voting rights issue, the whole point of the voting rights issue that he's talking about is that a law was passed that allows same-day voter registration for counties that have a population of 100,000 or more, which are predominantly Democrat counties. We felt that was discriminatory against those people, including African Americans and Latinos who live in counties that are smaller than that, and we sued on that basis. We lost in the courts, but that's what we were defending, is the right to have equal access to the ballot, whether you live in an urban county or a rural county or a suburban county. So to misrepresent that the way he did is unfair. And finally, the whole point about school districts, that was also unfair and incorrect what he said. The whole point of the mandatory veto that is being discussed is it puts more money into minority-majority districts such as Waukegan, Rockford, Decatur, and other places all around the state. And I know that we're very Chicago-centric on this show, but the bottom line is that there are more African Americans and Latinos who live outside of the city who benefit from this, and I think it's important to have that fact out there.
Thank you, John. Jaime, you can respond.
Oh, okay.
Jaime?
Yes, regardless if you think this is racist or not, I gotta tell you, it's tasteless. So this promotes racism. It promotes that minority kids are begging for money, that they're not doing anything.
But Jaime, can I just say this?
That is my situation. And secondly, Mr. Thomas, I did speak up at the committee hearing. I'm on the committee for human services, and I kept speaking up, saying that this will destroy the safety networks, and will not. At the end of the day, will not have even will destroy the hospitals that serve Latinos and blacks. So I did speak up.
What you're talking about? I'm talking about the $13 billion
Do how you do the
Medicaid program. A billion, yes.
But the 13 billion.
The 13 billion. No black company was involved in the 6 that were chosen, and I'm saying that is that to me is racism. That once again, black companies were eliminated from the 6 that are going to handle or manage the Medicaid in Illinois. The other piece is this. I mean, this is like a classic bamboozle, hoodwink. Here we are worried about a cartoon. We're talking about racism when it applies to cartoons, but we don't talk about racism when we talk about construction projects downtown and on the north side that don't include any black workers. I mean, why is that not an issue on the House floor as opposed to a cartoon? I want to see black and Latino reps stand up and fight that kind of racism that's happening in the building trades in this region, as opposed to worried about cartoons. We're not focused, I don't think, on the right things. What's racism to us, the important racism, is not this symbolic emotional stuff.
Jaime,
part of what I think is interesting about this entire discussion today is, okay, so we wrote a cartoon, and sometimes you swing and miss on your artistry or what you write or a song you sing, or whatever your particular thing is. And the only reason we took it down was because we have such deep respect for this issue, and I think that was the right thing to do. But I assume good intentions on people on the other side. What I find interesting is how people always want to assume bad intentions in a conversation like this. We are deeply committed to these issues and working on them. And I think it would be much better for all of us to focus on how we can accomplish something rather than trying to tear one another down, which I think is destructive for all of us.
So, John, hold on, because Ruthie had a comment on a feeling on how she felt about you taking it down. Ruthie, you had an interesting opinion on the cartoon that they took down.
So I'm a little dismayed that it was taken down, because it seems like an infringement upon free speech. I mean, why are we talking about a cartoon when we should be talking about the issue behind the cartoon? And since it was taken down, I think it's a little bit of a retraction to the issue. So put it back up.
Go ahead.
That's Ruthie. That is, if only you could have been in my life for the last 12 hours. This has been a heated debate among my staff, and there was a big debate between the two schools of thought. Should we take it down out of respect, or should we leave it up so that we can continue the dialogue? And in the end, I took it down out of respect for the issue and frankly for the cartoonist, who this has been very difficult on. And I think what's really harmful about this is besmirching our cartoonist, who has love in his heart and cares about these issues and doesn't have any of the malice that was implied by Representative Mitchell, which I find just really unfortunate, and we shouldn't be doing that. He has love in his heart for these issues, and that's why he draws passionately the way he does. The only reason we took it down was because, if people are finding it offensive, you can't take every single thing down for exactly the reason you're talking about, but we're trying to be respectful, particularly given the times that we are currently in. But I think the point you're making is really an interesting one. And by the way, one of our African-American colleagues, when she commented on this, her opinion was we should leave it up.
John, so a couple things here. I think you can solve this. Get a black cartoonist, brother. Get a black cartoonist. And the other thing is, if you got some more black people on the staff that can back you up, then those would be the people that would be able to justify that situation. So
we have two on our staff now. I think I said one when I was on your show last time. We actually have 2.
Hey, 100% increase. What's in it for the black people?
And we're certainly going to have a third. And as I told you last time, please send resumes. We are always looking for all kinds of talent, and especially African American talent.
Email those.
There's a young gentleman that's always down in Springfield.
Jaime, excuse me. Let me ask both of you a question. Jaime,